My name is Madison, and at 35 years old, I finally held my MBA diploma in my trembling hands, but the victory tasted like ash in my mouth. 5 years. 5 grueling years of weekend classes, late-night study sessions, and sacrificing every ounce of my energy while working full-time as a marketing director and raising 2 children. Standing on that stage at Ohio State University, I should have felt triumphant. Instead, all I could focus on were the 6 empty seats in the third row, seats I had reserved for the people who claimed to love me most. The leather folder containing my degree felt heavier than it should have as I walked across that stage. The dean called my name, Madison Elizabeth Turner, Master of Business Administration, with distinction, and the applause from strangers echoed in the auditorium. But the silence from those empty seats screamed louder than any cheers ever could. My eyes kept drifting to where they should have been sitting. Ryan, my husband of 14 years. Emma, my 12-year-old daughter who had promised to bring her camera. Noah, my 9-year-old son who had made me a congratulations card just last week. My parents, Linda and Robert, and Ryan's parents, Carol and Thomas. 6 empty seats, 6 broken promises. 6 reasons why my heart was shattering, even as I smiled for the official photographer. The morning had started with such hope. I had woken up at 5:30, too excited to sleep any longer. The navy blue dress I had bought specifically for this occasion hung on the closet door, pressed and ready. I had chosen it carefully, professional enough for the ceremony but special enough to mark this milestone. Ryan had mumbled something about getting the kids ready when I kissed him goodbye at 7. "Don't worry about anything," he had said, his voice still thick with sleep. "We'll all be there. Wouldn't miss it for the world." Those words echoed mockingly in my mind now as I stood there, diploma in hand, scanning the crowd one more time. Maybe they were just late. Maybe they had gotten stuck in traffic on Interstate 71. Maybe Noah had one of his infamous last-minute bathroom emergencies. I had created a dozen excuses in my mind by the time I returned to my seat. The ceremony continued around me in a blur. Other graduates hugged their families, posed for pictures, their joy infectious and painful to witness. I sat there, adjusting and readjusting my graduation cap, checking my phone every 30 seconds. No messages, no missed calls, nothing. It wasn't until the ceremony ended, until I was walking alone to my Honda Accord in the parking lot, that the first text came through. It was from Ryan, sent an hour ago, while I was walking across the stage. "Hey babe, Derek is having his annual pool party today. He just reminded us this morning. The kids really wanted to swim, and you know how your mom loves Derek's wife's potato salad. We figured since your ceremony is so long, we could skip it and you could meet us here after. You understand, right? This is just a formality anyway. We all know how smart you are. See you at Derek's when you're done. Love you." I read the message 3 times before it fully registered. Derek. My brother-in-law Derek, who had gotten his real estate license online in 6 weeks and never let anyone forget it. Derek, who made jokes about me being a professional student at every family gathering. Derek, whose idea of intellectual conversation was debating beer brands. They had chosen Derek's pool party over my graduation. My hands shook as I sat in my car, still in my graduation regalia. The tassel from my cap kept swinging into my peripheral vision as I tried to process the betrayal. 5 years of Ryan complaining about my study schedule. 5 years of missed bedtime stories with Emma and Noah. 5 years of my mother asking when I was going to stop this nonsense and focus on my family. 5 years of Carol making passive-aggressive comments about wives who abandon their duties. And after all of that, after finally reaching the finish line, they couldn't give me 2 hours. 2 hours to acknowledge what I had accomplished. The phone buzzed again. A photo from my mother. In it, my entire family was poolside at Derek's house, raising their drinks in what appeared to be a toast. Emma was mid-laugh, her new swimsuit, bright pink against her sun-kissed skin. Noah was on Ryan's shoulders, both of them grinning widely. My parents sat at a patio table with Carol and Thomas, plates full of barbecue in front of them. The caption read, "Wish you were here? Derek says congrats on the graduation thing." The graduation thing, that's what 5 years of blood, sweat, and tears had been reduced to. A thing. An inconvenience that interrupted their pool party plans. I sat in that parking lot for 20 minutes watching other families celebrate, feeling more alone than I had ever felt in my life. The weight of the betrayal sat on my chest like a physical presence, making it hard to breathe. But I didn't cry. Not yet. Because somewhere deep in my chest, beneath the hurt and disappointment, something else was building. Something harder. Something that felt dangerously close to rage. I started driving toward Derek's house on autopilot, my graduation. Gown still on, my cap tossed carelessly in the back seat. The 30-minute drive from Columbus to Derek's suburban paradise in Dublin gave me too much time to think. Every red light was an opportunity to replay the last 5 years. Every stop sign was a chance to remember the sacrifices I had made, like the time Emma had her ballet recital, the important one where scouts from the Columbus Ballet Academy would be watching. I had been in the middle of my financial analysis. Final exam. I had chosen the exam. Ryan had promised to record it, but he forgot to charge the camera. Emma never got another chance to audition, or when Noah had broken his fever at 103 degrees, crying for mommy while I was in a study group preparing for my strategic management presentation. Ryan had handled it. He always handled it, but Noah's tearful voice on the phone, "Why doesn't mommy want to take care of me?" still haunted me during quiet moments. 25 minutes into the drive, my phone exploded with notifications. Not just a few texts or calls, my screen lit up like a Christmas tree having a seizure. 45 missed calls, 45, in the span of 3 minutes. All from Ryan, my parents, his parents, even Emma's phone. My hands went cold on the steering wheel. That many calls meant only one thing: emergency. Real emergency. Not the "we're out of milk" kind that Ryan sometimes classified as urgent. I pulled over at a gas station, my heart hammering against my ribs as I called Ryan back. He answered on the first ring, his voice pitched high with panic. "Madison, thank God. Where are you?" "We're at Riverside Methodist Hospital." "Noah." He fell. By the pool. His arm. "Madison, it's bad. It's really bad. The bone is... You need to get here now." The world tilted on its axis. "What do you mean he fell? How? When?" "About an hour ago. He was running on the wet concrete. You know how Derek never enforces the no-running rule, and he slipped. His arm hit the edge of the pool at this weird angle and..." Ryan's voice cracked. "The paramedics said it's a compound fracture. They can see the bone, Madison. Our baby boy's bone is sticking out of his skin and you weren't answering your phone and we didn't know where you were and I was at my graduation," I said, my voice deadly quiet. "The graduation none of you attended." The silence on the other end stretched for 3 heartbeats. Then Ryan's voice, smaller now, defensive. "This isn't the time, Madison. Our son is hurt." Our son. Suddenly he was our son. When I was missing his soccer games for classes, Noah was your son who needs his mother. When I was studying instead of making elaborate dinners, he was your son who misses your cooking. But now, in crisis, he was ours. "I'm 15 minutes away," I said, and hung up. The rest of the drive was a blur of red lights I may or may not have fully stopped for. My graduation gown was still on as I ran through the hospital parking lot, the polyester fabric whipping behind me like a mockery of a superhero cape. The reception desk directed me to the pediatric emergency ward, where I found my family clustered in the waiting room like guilty conspirators. My mother saw me first, her face crumpling. "Madison, sweetheart, your dress. You're still in your graduation clothes. Oh God, we really did miss it, didn't we?" "Where is Noah?" I asked, ignoring her epiphany. Emma ran to me, tears streaming down her face, her pink swimsuit still damp under her hastily thrown-on sundress. "Mom, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, we should have been there." Noah was showing off for Derek's neighbors, doing these crazy jumps, and Derek was laughing and encouraging him, and then, "Room 12, Ryan interrupted, standing up. His swim trunks had blood on them. Noah's blood. "They're setting the bone, now. He's been asking for you." I pushed past all of them, my heels clicking on the linoleum like gunshots. Through the small window in room 12's door, I could see my baby boy, looking so small on the hospital bed. His right arm was being worked on by two doctors, his face turned away, but I could see the tears on his cheeks. A nurse was holding his left hand, speaking to him softly. When I entered, Noah's eyes found mine immediately. Mommy, it hurts. So bad. I'm sorry I was running. Uncle Derek said it was okay that I was being a cool daredevil, but I slipped and, "Shh, baby, it's okay," I said, moving to his side, taking over from the nurse. My graduation gown pooled around me as I leaned down to kiss his forehead. "Mommy's here now." "You look pretty, Mommy," he said through his tears. "Like a princess." "Why are you so dressed up?" The doctor glanced up at me, taking in my graduation attire, and understanding flickered in his eyes. "Graduation?" he asked quietly. I nodded, not trusting my voice. "Congratulations," he said simply, then turned back to Noah. "Your mom's a hero, buddy. Getting a degree is really hard work." "She did?" Noah's eyes widened, then immediately filled with fresh tears. "We missed it? We missed Mommy's special day for Uncle Derek's stupid party?" The next 3 hours passed in a blur of x-rays, pain medication, and paperwork. Noah needed surgery to properly set the compound fracture. As they wheeled him into the operating room, he held my hand with his good arm until the last possible second, his eyes locked on mine like I was his lifeline. The moment the OR doors closed, separating us, something inside me finally snapped. Turned to face my family in the waiting room. They all stood when they saw me approaching. Ryan, my parents, his parents, Emma, even Derek and his wife Stephanie had shown up, still in their pool party attire. They looked like a lineup of criminals awaiting sentencing, and perhaps that's exactly what they were. "Madison," Ryan started, reaching for me. "I know you're upset about the graduation, but..." "Stop." The word came out sharper than broken glass. Just stop. Do you want to know what I was thinking about when I walked across that stage? When they called my name and handed me my diploma? Nobody answered. Emma was crying silently. My mother was wringing her hands, and Derek had the audacity to check his phone. I was thinking about the night 3 years ago when I wanted to quit. I continued, my voice gaining strength. "Remember that night, Ryan? I had just failed my first economics exam. Emma had the flu, Noah was going through his nightmare phase, and you told me I was being selfish. That real mothers don't abandon their children for vanity projects." Ryan's face flushed. "I apologized for that." "No, you didn't. You said you were sorry I felt that way. There's a difference." I turned to my mother. "And you, Mom. Remember when you told Aunt Patricia that I was going through a midlife crisis at 32? That I should be grateful for my beautiful family, instead of chasing papers that wouldn't change anything?" Linda's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. "I was just concerned." "You were embarrassed," I corrected. "Embarrassed that your daughter wasn't satisfied with being a stay-at-home mom who transitioned to part-time work. Embarrassed that I wanted more." Carol, Ryan's mother, shifted uncomfortably. "Now, Madison, there's no need to be dramatic. It was just a ceremony." "Just a ceremony?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Carol, you attended Derek's real estate license celebration dinner. He completed a 6-week online course, and you threw him a party at the country club. I worked for 5 years, maintained a 3.9 GPA while working full-time and raising 2 children, and you couldn't sit through a 2-hour ceremony?" Derek finally looked up from his phone. "Look, Madison, I didn't know it was today when I planned the party. Your invitation went out 3 weeks ago, Derek. I told you about my graduation date 4 months ago. At Christmas dinner, at New Year's, at Easter, at Emma's birthday party. I even sent you all a save-the-date email." The silence that followed was deafening. Stephanie, Derek's wife, suddenly found the floor incredibly interesting. Emma was sobbing quietly into Ryan's shoulder, but he wasn't comforting her. He was staring at me like he'd never seen me before. "Do you know what the worst part is?" I asked, my voice dropping to almost a whisper. "It's not that you missed it. It's that you made a choice. You actively chose Derek's pool party over my achievement. You looked at the 2 events and decided that watching Derek flip burgers was more important than watching me receive the degree I bled for." "Madison, please." My father, Robert, finally spoke up. "We made a mistake. We're sorry." Are you? I challenged. Or are you sorry that Noah got hurt and now you have to face what you did? Would we even be having this conversation if he hadn't fallen? Would any of you have even remembered to ask me how the ceremony went when I showed up at Derek's house? The guilty looks that passed between them were all the answer I needed. Here's what's going to happen, I said, pulling off my graduation gown and folding it methodically. I'm going to stay here with my son. When he wakes up, I'm going to be the first face he sees. You all can go home. Ryan, take Emma home and pack Noah a bag, his blue dinosaur, the blanket from my closet, not his bed, and his iPad with the charger. Then you can come back. Alone. Madison, Ryan started. The rest of you can leave now, I continued as if he hadn't spoken. Noah doesn't need a crowd when he wakes up. He needs peace and quiet and his mother. Derek stood up, looking offended. You can't just dismiss us. I can, and I am. I met his eyes steadily. You see, Derek, I just earned my MBA. One of the things they teach you in business school is about cutting losses and eliminating toxic assets. Consider this my first executive decision. My mother gasped. Toxic? Madison Elizabeth, we are your family. Family shows up, I said simply. Family celebrates victories, not just crises. Family doesn't choose a pool party over a milestone that took 5 years to achieve. Noah's surgery went well. The doctors said he was lucky. The break was clean despite being compound, and children's bones heal remarkably fast. When he woke up from anesthesia, groggy and disoriented, I was right there as promised, holding his good hand and singing the lullaby I used to sing when he was a baby. The same lullaby I hadn't sung in 2 years because I was too busy studying. Mommy, he whispered, his voice hoarse. I'm sorry I ruined your special day. You didn't ruin anything, baby, I said, smoothing his hair back from his forehead. Accidents happen. But everyone went to Uncle Derek's instead of your graduation because of me. Because I wanted to swim. My heart cracked a little more. No, sweetheart, that wasn't your fault. That was a choice the adults made, and it was the wrong choice. Ryan appeared in the doorway then, carrying Noah's overnight bag and looking like he hadn't slept in days, even though it had only been 6 hours since the accident. He hesitated at the threshold, unsure if he was welcome. Daddy! Noah tried to sit up, wincing as the movement jarred his arm. Hey, buddy, Ryan said, entering, slowly, his eyes on me. How's my brave boy doing? While Noah recounted his surgery adventure with the enthusiasm only a 9-year-old could muster about a traumatic experience, I watched my husband. Really watched him. Somewhere between the businessman I'd married 14 years ago and the man standing before me, we'd lost something. We'd become roommates raising children together, not partners. He'd stopped seeing my dreams as our dreams and started seeing them as competition for my attention. After Noah drifted back to sleep, aided by pain medication, Ryan and I stepped into the hallway. The fluorescent hospital lights made everything look harsh and unforgiving, appropriate for the conversation we needed to have. Madison, he started, I know you're angry. I'm not angry anymore, I interrupted, and surprisingly, it was true. I'm disappointed. I'm hurt. But mostly, I'm done. His face paled. Done? What do you mean done? You're not talking about divorce. I'm talking about being done living my life apologetically. Done minimizing my achievements to make others comfortable. Done pretending that my goals matter less than everyone else's comfort. Ryan ran his hand through his hair, a gesture I once found endearing. We screwed up, okay? We massively screwed up. But Madison, one mistake doesn't erase 14 years. One mistake? I laughed bitterly. Ryan, this wasn't one mistake. This was the culmination of 5 years of mistakes. 5 years of you all treating my education like a hobby I should squeeze in around my real responsibilities. Do you know what my study group called me? The ghost. Because I missed so many sessions for family obligations that you deemed more important than my degree. That's not fair, isn't it? Tell me, Ryan, what was my thesis about? He opened his mouth, then closed it. What was my favorite? Class? Silence. Who was my faculty advisor? What was my GPA? What job opportunities have I been exploring? What companies have reached out to me? Each question landed like a physical blow. Ryan's shoulders slumped with every word. I can tell you Derek's real estate sales from last quarter, I continued. I know because he mentioned them at least 15 times at the last family dinner. I can tell you about your mother's book club selection this month, your father's handicap, my mother's new yoga instructor, my father's fishing trip plans. I know all of this because I listen, because I care, because that's what family does. Madison, please, tell me how to fix this. I don't know if you can, I admitted, but I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the job offer from Nationwide Insurance. The one I was going to turn down because it required occasional travel and longer hours. Ryan's eyes widened. You never mentioned a job offer. I tried. 3 times. You were watching the game, helping Derek with his business plan, and sleeping. In that order. The next few days at the hospital became a parade of apologies. My parents brought flowers and balloons, trying to make up for their absence with presents. Carol and Thomas sent an expensive fruit basket with a card that said, "Congratulations on your MBA." Too little, too late. Even Derek stopped by with Stephanie, awkwardly offering to pay for Noah's medical bills, as if money could buy back the moment they stole. Emma was the worst. My 12-year-old daughter had written me a letter, her handwriting shaky with tears. Dear Mom, I'm the worst daughter in the world. You worked so hard, and I didn't even show up. I chose swimming over you. I posted pictures on Instagram from the party while you were graduating alone. I'm so sorry. I don't deserve a mom as amazing as you. Love, Emma. I found her crying in Noah's hospital bathroom, the letter crumpled in her hand. Emma, baby, I said, pulling her into my arms. You're not the worst daughter. You're 12. The adults in your life should have known better, should have done better. But I knew it was important, she sobbed. I made you that special bookmark for your textbooks, remember? I was so proud of you, but then Dad said the ceremony would be boring and Uncle Derek's party would be more fun, and I chose fun. 2 weeks after Noah's accident, our life had settled into a new rhythm, one where I was calling the shots. I had accepted the position at Nationwide Insurance, starting in a month with a salary that was 40% higher than my current job. When I told Ryan, he had the audacity to ask if I'd discussed it with him first. The way you discussed Derek's pool party with me, I had responded. And that ended that conversation. Noah was healing well, his cast covered in signatures and doodles from his classmates. He'd become something of a celebrity at school, the boy who broke his arm so badly the bone came out. 9-year-old boys are weird about what they consider cool. But what mattered was that he was okay, and he'd learned a valuable lesson about pool safety that Derek's lackadaisical attitude had never taught. It was a Thursday evening when I implemented the first major change. I was in my new home office, formerly the guest room that we kept pristine for visitors who never came, when Ryan knocked on the door. "Dinner's ready," he said, looking confused. "Aren't you coming?" "I already ate," I replied, not looking up, from my laptop where I was reviewing contracts for my new position. "I had a salad at 6. But it's family dinner time. It's 7:30. We always eat at 7:30. "You eat at 7:30, I corrected. "I eat when I'm hungry. There's plenty of food in the kitchen." Ryan stood there, looking lost. For 14 years, I had orchestrated every family meal around his schedule, his preferences, his idea of when a family should eat. Even during my MBA program, I'd rushed home from evening classes to reheat dinner for everyone, eating my own cold meal while cleaning up their dishes. "Madison, the kids are asking for you." "Then send them in. They know where to find me." Emma. And Noah appeared minutes later, looking uncertain. This was new territory for all of us. "Mom," Emma started, "Dad says you're not eating with us anymore?" "I'm eating when it works for my schedule," I explained, pulling them both in for a hug. Just like Dad ate whenever his work ran late and I kept his dinner warm, now he can do the same for me. "But who's going to ask about our day?" Noah asked, his cast bumping against my desk. "I will, right now. Tell me everything about your day." "We don't need a dinner table for that." And they did. For the next hour, my children sat in my office, Emma on the small couch I'd bought, Noah spinning in the extra office chair, and we talked. Really talked. Not the rushed dinner conversation where Ryan dominated with his work stories while I served and cleaned. Just us three, focused and present. The next boundary came that weekend. Saturday morning, my phone rang at 8. It was my mother. "Madison, what time are you coming to help set up for Dad's birthday lunch?" "I'm not," I said simply. The silence stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. "What do you mean you're not? We always do Dad's birthday lunch together. I need you to make your potato salad and help with decorations." "Mom, I love Dad, but I won't be attending. I've sent him a nice gift and a card. You have Carol and Stephanie to help you." "This is about the graduation, isn't it?" Her voice turned sharp. "Madison, holding grudges isn't healthy. Neither is being taken for granted. Enjoy the lunch, Mom." I hung up and turned off my phone. 30 minutes later, Ryan found me in the garden, repotting the orchids I'd neglected for years. "Your mother just called the house phone," he said. "Then my mother, then Derek. They're saying you're refusing to go to your father's birthday lunch." "That's correct," I said, focusing on the delicate roots in my hands. "Madison, you can't just cut off your family." "I'm not cutting them off. I'm setting boundaries. There's a difference." I looked up at him then. "Did any of them come to my celebration dinner? The one you were supposed to plan for after graduation?" Ryan's face reddened. There had been no dinner. He'd forgotten to make reservations, assuming I'd handle it like I handled everything else. "That's what I thought," I said, returning to my orchids. The family lunch happened without me. Emma and Noah went with Ryan. I didn't weaponize my children, but I spent the day doing things I wanted to do. I got a massage, something I hadn't done in 5 years. I had lunch at a quiet cafe, reading a book for pleasure instead of for a grade. I went shopping and bought clothes that made me feel powerful instead of just practical. When they returned, Noah burst into the house, cast banging against the doorframe. "Grandma cried," he announced. "She said you're being mean and that families forgive each other." "Did she?" I asked, helping him out of his jacket. Emma was quieter, more observant. "Grandpa seemed sad, Mom. He kept looking at your empty chair." "I'm sure he did," I said gently. "And I'm sad too. But sometimes, Emma, being sad is part of making things better. Sometimes people need to feel the absence of someone before they appreciate their presence." 3 weeks into my new normal, the cracks in Ryan's facade began to show. He'd taken over the morning routine with the kids, something I'd handled exclusively for years while he left early for his important meetings. Turns out those meetings were usually coffee with Derek or breakfast with his golf buddies. Now, experiencing the chaos of getting 2 children ready for school, he was frazzled. Noah won't eat anything but cereal. Emma missed the bus because she changed outfits 3 times, and I'm late for my actual meeting, he complained one morning, his tie askew and coffee stain on his shirt. "Welcome to my world for the past 14 years," I said, applying lipstick in the hallway mirror. Except I also had to pack lunches, sign permission slips, and remember that Noah had show and tell on Wednesdays. "How did you do it all?" "I sacrificed myself. Daily." "But that version of Madison retired the day you chose a pool party over my graduation." My new job at Nationwide Insurance started the following Monday. I'd bought 5 new suits, had my hair professionally styled, and felt like the professional I'd worked so hard to become. Emma took pictures of me that morning, insisting I looked like a boss lady from those Netflix shows. "You look different, Mom," Noah observed, tilting his head. "Like, powerful." "Thank you, baby. This is what Mommy looks like when she's not exhausted and underappreciated." Ryan watched from the kitchen doorway, something unreadable in his eyes. "You look beautiful, Madison. Like the woman I married." "No," I corrected. "I look like the woman I was meant to become. The one you all tried to keep small." The first week at my new job was exhilarating. My MBA wasn't just a piece of paper here. It was valued, respected, utilized. My ideas were heard in meetings. My analysis was praised by senior management. When I solved a complex risk assessment problem that had stumped the team for weeks, my director, Patricia Zhao, pulled me aside. "Where have you been hiding?" she asked. This level of strategic thinking is executive material. I've been getting my education while raising a family, I replied. And they must be so proud of you, she said warmly. I didn't correct her. That Friday evening, I came home to find an intervention of sorts. My entire family was in my living room. Parents, in-laws, Derek and Stephanie, all sitting in a circle like some kind of dysfunctional therapy group. Ryan stood in the center, clearly the orchestrator. Madison, we need to talk, he announced. I set down my briefcase, kicked off my heels, and poured myself a glass of wine before responding. About this situation, Carol said. You're tearing the family apart. Interesting, I said, taking a sip. I'm tearing the family apart by setting boundaries, but you all weren't tearing it apart by collectively abandoning me on one of the most important days of my life? It was one day, Derek exploded. One stupid ceremony. You got your degree whether we were there or not. Derek, I said calmly, your pool party happens every year. My MBA graduation happened once in a lifetime. And you made everyone choose between them. We didn't make anyone, Stephanie started. Didn't you? Ryan, tell me, what did Derek say when you mentioned my graduation? Ryan shifted uncomfortably. He said ceremonies were boring and that the kids would have more fun at his place. And you, Mom? What did Linda say when you brought up my graduation? My mother looked at the floor. That Madison wouldn't even notice if we weren't there with all those people. And everyone just agreed? No one stood up for me? No one said, hey, maybe we should support Madison. The silence was damning. Emma suddenly stood up. I should have, Mom. I knew it was wrong. When we were driving to Uncle Derek's, I felt sick to my stomach. Not car sick, but guilty sick. I knew you'd be looking for us. Emma, honey, I started, but she wasn't done. No, Mom. Everyone keeps acting like you're being mean, but you're not. You're just finally treating yourself like you matter. And I want to be like that when I grow up. I want to be someone who doesn't let people make her small. Noah, not to be outdone by his sister, stood up too, his cast making him slightly off balance. Yeah, and Mom's new job is cool. She has her own office with a window and everything. She's important now. She was always important, Ryan said quietly, and everyone turned to look at him. I forgot to act like it. I got comfortable with Madison handling everything, being everything, sacrificing everything. When she started the MBA program, I felt threatened, like she was leaving us behind. So you left me behind instead? I asked. We were selfish. Robert, my father, finally spoke. All of us. We liked Madison the caretaker, the one who put everyone first. We didn't know what to do with Madison the achiever, the one who had dreams beyond us. And now? I asked. Now we want our family back, Linda said tearfully. We miss you. You miss what I did for you, I corrected. But I'm not that person anymore. That person died alone at her graduation, holding a diploma no one cared about. The intervention continued for another hour, with everyone taking turns expressing their regrets and demanding forgiveness. But I noticed something interesting. Not one of them asked about my new job, my responsibilities, or how I was feeling. About this major career change, even in their apologies, I remained invisible. I have a proposal, I finally said, cutting through Derek's lengthy speech about family loyalty. If you all want to repair this relationship, we do it on my terms. Your terms? Carol sounded offended. Madison, family doesn't work on terms and conditions. Funny, it seemed to work on your terms for 14 years. Now it's my turn. I pulled out my phone and opened the notes app I'd been working on. First, I will attend one family gathering per month. 1. Not every birthday, anniversary, random barbecue, or impromptu dinner. You can decide collectively which event is most important. That's ridiculous, Derek started. Second, I continued, ignoring him, my work schedule is non-negotiable. If I have a business trip, conference, or important meeting, that takes priority. the same way Ryan's work always took priority. Ryan flinched at that truth. Third, no more gendered expectations. I don't automatically bring potato salad, help set up or clean up. We rotate responsibilities or you hire help. Madison, this is getting out of hand, my mother protested. Fourth, and this is non-negotiable, you will all attend Emma's spring choir concert and Noah's baseball championship if his team makes it. You will sit in the front row, take pictures, and celebrate them the way you should have celebrated me. Emma gasped softly, tears rolling down her cheeks. Noah pumped his good fist in the air. And finally, I said, standing up, Ryan and I will be attending marriage counseling, because while you all played supporting roles in this disaster, he had the lead part. Everyone turned to Ryan, who had gone pale. Counseling? Madison, we don't need... We do, unless you prefer divorce papers? The room erupted. Carol actually clutched her pearls, a gesture I thought only happened in movies. Derek accused me of being dramatic. Stephanie tried to play peacemaker. My parents looked between Ryan and me like we were strangers. But Ryan, to his credit, simply said, "Okay, counseling." The next 2 months were transformative. Dr. Jennifer Hartley, our marriage counselor, was a no-nonsense woman in her 60s who had a gift for cutting through denial. In our third session, she asked Ryan a simple question that changed everything. Ryan, can you tell me about Madison's thesis? She wrote about something with business, he stammered. Madison, would you share? My thesis was about gender disparities in recognition and advancement within insurance corporations. Ironically, it's why Nationwide was so interested in me. They're trying to address exactly these issues. Dr. Hartley turned back to Ryan. Your wife spent 18 months researching and writing about being overlooked and undervalued in professional settings while being overlooked and undervalued in her personal setting. The irony isn't lost on any of us, is it? Ryan broke down that session. Really broke down. Not the manipulative tears I'd seen before, but genuine, ugly crying as he realized the depth of his neglect. I became my father, he whispered. I swore I wouldn't, but I did. I watched my mom disappear into the background my whole childhood, and I recreated the same dynamic. Meanwhile, my career was soaring. 3 months into my position, I was promoted to senior risk analyst. Patricia called me into her office on a Wednesday afternoon, the city skyline glittering behind her. Madison, you've exceeded every expectation. Your graduation thesis has actually inspired a new diversity initiative. We want you to head it. I'm honored, I said, genuinely touched. There's more. This position comes with a significant raise and flexibility to work from home 2 days a week. We value work-life balance here, especially for working mothers. I almost cried. Validation and consideration, 2 things I'd craved for so long. When I told the family at our monthly dinner, the one gathering I'd agreed to attend, the reactions were telling. Emma and Noah cheered. Ryan seemed genuinely proud. My parents smiled tentatively. But Derek, true to form, made a snide comment. Must be nice to have time for promotions when you only see your family once a month. It is nice, I replied smoothly. Almost as nice as having a pool party while your sister-in-law graduates alone. Stephanie kicked him under the table. The spring came with new challenges and victories. Emma's choir concert was magnificent. True to their word, the entire family attended, front row, flowers in hand. When Emma's solo brought tears to my eyes, I felt Ryan's hand find mine. Not possessive, not demanding, just present. Noah's baseball team did make the championships. Watching my family cheer for him the way they should have cheered for me was bittersweet. But when Noah hit the winning run and looked into the stands, seeing all of us there, his joy healed something in me. After the game, as we were all walking to our cars, Noah tugged on my hand. Mom, remember when I broke my arm at Uncle Derek's pool party? How could I forget, baby? I'm glad it happened, he said, shocking me. Not the pain part, but it changed everything. You changed everything. You're happier now. We're all better now. Out of the mouths of babes, as they say. 6 months after my graduation, life had settled into a new rhythm that actually included me as a person, not just a service provider. The marriage counseling was working. Slowly, painfully, but working. Ryan had started asking about my day and actually listening to the answer. He'd taken over morning routines permanently and even learned to braid Emma's hair, though she still winced occasionally. It was a Thursday evening in November when the real test came. I was in my office preparing for a major presentation to the board of directors the next day, a presentation that could lead to a vice president position. My phone buzzed with a text from Ryan. Emma's sick. Fever of 102, throwing up. In the old days, this would have been my cue to drop everything and rush to her side. But things were different now. I texted back, "Give her the nausea medicine in the bathroom cabinet. Blue bottle. Keep her hydrated. I'll check on her when I'm done with this section." 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times before his response came. "Okay, I've got it." An hour later, I found Emma curled up on the couch, Ryan sitting beside her with a cool washcloth. She looked miserable, but managed a weak smile when she saw me. "Mom, Dad gave me the wrong medicine at first. The green bottle. I told him it was blue, but he said green was for nausea." "Green is for Noah's allergies," I said, looking at Ryan. "I figured it out," he said defensively. "She's fine now." "Because I told him where your medicine list was," Emma added, then covered her mouth and ran to the bathroom. While Ryan followed to help her, I noticed the disaster in the kitchen, evidence of his attempt to make chicken soup from scratch. Pots everywhere, vegetables half-chopped and abandoned, smoke alarm battery sitting on the counter where he'd removed it. "The soup burned," Noah explained, appearing in his pajamas. "Dad tried to make it like you do, but he forgot to stir it." "There's canned soup in the pantry," I said. "Dad said homemade would be better for Emma, like you always made for us when we were sick." I found Ryan holding Emma's hair back in the bathroom, looking overwhelmed. "I can't do this like you do," he admitted quietly. "You don't have to do it like me," I said. "You just have to do it. Canned soup is fine. Store-bought medicine is fine. You don't have to be perfect, Ryan. I never was, despite what you all seem to think." The next morning, my presentation to the board was at 9. Emma was still sick. Fever lower, but not gone. As I dressed in my best suit, Ryan appeared in the bedroom doorway. "I know your presentation is important," he said. "I've already called in sick to work. Emma and I will be fine. Go knock them dead." I studied his face, looking for resentment or manipulation, but found only sincerity. "Thank you," I said, meaning it. "Madison," he called as I reached the door. "What you're presenting today, it's the diversity initiative based on your thesis, right?" I turned, surprised. "You know about that?" I read it. "Your thesis. Last week. Cover to cover." He shifted uncomfortably. "It was brilliant. Painful to read, knowing how I contributed to exactly what you were describing, but brilliant. You're going to get that VP position." I kissed him then. The first real kiss in months that wasn't perfunctory or obligatory. The presentation went perfectly. The board was impressed, particularly by my statistical analysis and proposed implementation strategies. Patricia winked at me as I finished, and I knew the position was mine. When I got home that afternoon, I found an unexpected scene. My mother was in the kitchen cleaning up Ryan's soup disaster. Emma was on the couch with Carol reading to her. My father and Thomas were in the backyard with Noah, raking leaves. Derek and Stephanie were notably absent. "What's happening?" I asked. "Ryan called us," Linda said, not meeting my eyes at first. "Said he needed help. That you had an important presentation, and he couldn't handle everything alone." "And you all came?" "We're trying, Madison," Carol said softly. "We're trying to be better." Emma reached for me from the couch. "Mom, you won't believe it. Grandma Carol made me toast the way I like it, with the crusts cut off and everything." I asked her how she liked it first, Carol added quickly, instead of assuming. That evening, as the family gathered for an impromptu dinner of Chinese takeout, because no one expected me to cook after my big day, my phone rang. It was Patricia. "Congratulations, Vice President Turner." The board was unanimous. I shrieked, actually shrieked, and Ryan lifted me off my feet in a bear hug. Emma, still weak but smiling, started clapping. Noah did a victory dance that looked more like a seizure. Even my parents and in-laws cheered. "We should celebrate." Linda exclaimed. Have a party! No, I said firmly, and the room quieted. We'll have a dinner. A nice dinner. At a restaurant, where I don't cook, serve, or clean. And everyone will be there because they want to celebrate my achievement, not because there's a pool or barbecue involved. What about Derek? Stephanie asked quietly. Derek made his choice. He's made it clear repeatedly that my success makes him uncomfortable. That's his issue to work through. Madison's right, Ryan said, surprising everyone. Derek's been toxic about this whole situation, still calls her degree a waste of money. 6 months after my graduation, life had found its new rhythm. My vice president position at Nationwide Insurance was exceeding all expectations. I'd just been promoted after implementing a diversity initiative that saved the company $12 million. But success has a way of threatening those who choose to remain small. Derek appeared at my office on a Thursday afternoon, uninvited and unwelcome. My assistant James knocked nervously. Ms. Turner, your brother-in-law insists on seeing you. Derek entered in his cheap suit, the same one he'd worn to every family event for 5 years. He sat without invitation, trying to establish dominance in my corner office. Nice office, he said, his tone dripping with resentment. Pretty fancy for someone who abandoned their family. You have 5 minutes, Derek. I'm not invited to your celebration dinner because of a pool party. I leaned back, studying him. Derek, when you got your real estate license from that 6-week online course, we celebrated at the country club. Do you remember what you said? That success was about priorities, and some people, you looked directly at me, were too selfish to understand that family comes first. His face reddened. That was years ago. Last Christmas, when I announced my final semester, you told my children that Mommy loved school more than them. You convinced Ryan the ceremony would be boring. You've undermined me at every turn because my success highlights your mediocrity. This isn't over, he spat, standing to leave. Yes, Derek, it is. You're not invited because you're toxic. Family supports each other. You're just a relative. Saturday's celebration dinner at the refectory was everything my graduation should have been. Ryan gave a speech that brought tears to my eyes. Not about my role as mother or wife, but about my intelligence and professional achievements. Madison earned her MBA while being everything to everyone, he said, raising his champagne. Instead of celebrating her, we made her feel guilty. That changes now. My wife is a vice president at a Fortune 500 company, and I'm lucky. She's giving me a second chance. Emma had prepared her own speech on pink note cards. My mom is my hero because she showed me that girls can do anything, even when people try to make them small. When I grow up, I want to be brave like her. Carol surprised me. I was raised to believe women should be satisfied with supporting roles. You've shown me how wrong I was. When Noah asked about Derek's absence, I answered honestly. Sometimes people who claim to love us don't act like it. We're allowed to protect ourselves from them. 3 weeks later, Stephanie appeared at my door one evening, eyes red-rimmed, looking nothing like the put-together woman I'd known. Ryan was at therapy, the kids doing homework upstairs. The divorce was finalized today, she said, accepting the wine I offered. Derek got the house, but I got my freedom. How are you feeling? Relieved. Terrified, but mostly I wanted to thank you for showing me it was possible to stand up for yourself, to demand more. She paused. Derek was obsessed with your success being a threat. When you graduated alone, I was physically sick at that pool party, watching Derek hold court. I realized I was enabling a monster. What was the final straw? When you got promoted to VP, he raged for 3 days about how you were embarrassing Ryan. I finally said, the only embarrassed person here is you, because your sister-in-law is more successful than you'll ever be. He threw a glass at the wall. That's when I called the lawyer. I'm so sorry, Stephanie. Don't be. I enrolled in college, starting in the fall. Marketing degree at Ohio State. I was hoping, would you mentor me? Of course, I said without hesitation. Over the following weeks, Stephanie became a regular fixture in our home. She'd bring her applications and we'd work while the kids did homework. Ryan was initially uncomfortable, but gradually warmed to her presence. One evening, she shared something disturbing. Derek's been calling Ryan, trying to convince him you're having a mental breakdown. Says you're turning all the women against their husbands. What does Ryan say? He tells Derek to fuck off. Says your success made him a better man, not less of one. That night, I found Ryan in his office, laptop open to executive MBA program listings. I figured if you can get your MBA while working full-time and raising 2 kids, I can manage it with just the job, he explained. You've shown me how it's done. I want to grow, Madison, not to compete with you, but to be worthy of you. 2 weeks later, Derek tried one final time, screaming at me from the lobby when security wouldn't let him up. You've ruined everything, turned my wife against me, poisoned my brother. Derek, I said calmly over the phone, I didn't do anything. Your wife left because you're toxic. Your brother stands up to you because he's grown. Your business is failing. Because you spend more energy tearing others down than building yourself up. I'm not your problem. You are. I hung up and blocked his number. Some bridges weren't worth maintaining. The transformation wasn't just mine. It rippled through everyone. Emma became more confident, Noah more ambitious, Ryan more supportive. My parents finally saw me as a whole person, not just their daughter. Even Carol, at 72, was discovering who she was beyond wife and mother. But Derek remained frozen, a cautionary tale of what happens when you never evolve, never grow, never take responsibility. He was exactly where he chose to be, alone with his bitterness while the rest of us moved forward. 2 months after Stephanie's divorce, an unexpected email arrived that would bring everything full circle. Professor Margaret Chen, my undergraduate advisor from Ohio University, hadn't contacted me in over a decade. Her subject line read, Keynote Speaker Invitation, Women in Business Summit. Dear Madison, I've been following your remarkable journey through LinkedIn and industry publications. Your article on diversity implementation in insurance corporations has gained significant attention in academic circles. We would be honored if you would deliver the keynote address at our annual Women in Business Summit this October. The theme is Rising Above, Success Against All Odds. I can think of no one more appropriate. I stared at the screen, remembering the 22-year-old girl who had cried in Professor Chen's office, pregnant with Emma and convinced her dreams were over. Now, 13 years later, she was asking me to inspire others with that journey. At dinner, I shared the news. Noah immediately started planning Mom's famous person speech, while Emma began designing PowerPoint templates. Ryan pulled up the university's website. The auditorium holds 2,000 people, he said with awe. 2,000 people want to hear your story. Our story, I corrected, including the graduation. Emma looked up sharply. You'll tell them about how we abandoned you? I'll tell them about transformation, about how families can fail each other and still find their way back, about how setting boundaries isn't punishment, it's salvation. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. Heard about your keynote. Dad and I are so proud. We'll be in the front row. The irony wasn't lost on any of us. The woman who couldn't attend my actual graduation now wanted front row seats to hear me talk about it. Over the next weeks, I crafted my speech, weaving together threads of sacrifice, betrayal, and triumph. One evening, while practicing, Emma knocked with 2 cups of tea. Mom, I need to tell you something. I've been seeing the school counselor. My heart dropped. Is everything okay? I started after the graduation thing. I had nightmares about you standing alone on that stage. Ms. Rodriguez helped me understand it wasn't entirely my fault. I was following the adult's lead, but I needed to own my part. She handed me a worn envelope. Inside was a 2-page letter that broke and healed my heart simultaneously. Mom, I failed you in the worst way a daughter can fail her mother. You showed me every day what strength looked like, and when it was my turn to show up for you, I chose a swimming pool. I see you now. Really see you. Not just as my mom, but as Madison, a whole person with dreams. I promise I will never let anyone make you small again. Your biggest fan forever, Emma. I pulled her into my arms, both of us crying. You were 12, baby. 12-year-olds make mistakes. But I knew better. Deep down, I knew. A week before the keynote, Derek sent a certified letter, 5 pages of grievances and accusations. According to him, I had destroyed the family, cost him his marriage and his relationship with his brother. The letter ended with a threat to appear at the keynote and tell everyone the truth. I took it straight to legal. Within hours, Derek received a cease and desist order. If he came within 500 feet of the university during the summit, he'd be arrested. 3 days before the keynote, Stephanie called with news. I got in. Ohio State accepted me. Spring semester. We celebrated with lunch at her new favorite restaurant near campus where she'd been working part-time. You know what Derek never understood? She said. He thought your success diminished him. But success isn't pie, Madison. Someone else getting a bigger slice doesn't mean there's less for you. It means we need to make more pie. The morning of the keynote arrived with an October thunderstorm. I stood before my mirror at 5:30 a.m. practicing my opening. My name is Madison Turner, and 1 year and 5 months ago, I graduated with my MBA in front of 6 empty chairs. Ryan appeared behind me. You're going to be incredible. I've arranged something special for after your speech. Trust me. At breakfast, Noah presented me with a handmade card. My mom is a boss lady and a hero. She teaches me that giving up is not an option. Break a leg. Not really like I broke my arm. Emma had created an Instagram post with a photo she'd secretly taken of me walking to my car after graduation. The caption read, "This is my mom walking to her car after graduating alone because we all failed. Her." Today, she speaks to 2,000 people about success. She forgave us, but I'll never forgive myself. Proud daughter and women in business. We arrived at campus to find my parents already there, an hour early. My mother held roses, the same type she'd brought to Derek's real estate celebration. The irony was sharp. Madison, she said, tears forming. I was jealous of my own daughter. I gave up my dreams when I had you. Watching you refuse to give up yours made me question every choice. It was easier to dismiss your ambition than examine my regrets. Patricia arrived with colleagues from nationwide. 900 attendees already. The local news is here. Your story went viral on LinkedIn. MBA graduate who walked alone now walks before thousands. 15 minutes before going on stage, Ryan pulled me aside. Carol's here, alone, in the back. She came without Thomas. I found her in the last row, looking smaller than ever. I won't stay for the reception, she said quietly. But I needed you to know, when you talk about the people who failed you, I'm one of them. You questioned everything while I was cowardly. Even if you never speak to me again, you taught me that. Professor Chen's introduction was warm and generous, but I barely heard it over the pounding of my heart. As I walked onto the stage, the auditorium fell silent. 2,000 faces looked up at me, waiting. In the front row sat my family, Ryan, Emma, Noah, my parents. Scattered throughout were colleagues, Stephanie with her support group, and in the very back, almost invisible, Carol. My name is Madison Turner, I began, my voice steady despite my nerves. And 1 year and 5 months ago, I graduated with my MBA in front of 6 empty chairs that should have held my family. They chose a pool party instead. A collective gasp rippled through the audience. But this isn't a story about revenge or bitterness. It's about what happens when you stop being a supporting character in your own life and start being the protagonist. For the next 45 minutes, I laid bare my journey. The late nights studying while my family slept. The guilt that ate at me when I missed Emma's recitals or Noah's games. The resentment that built when my sacrifices were expected but never acknowledged. The breaking point when Noah's broken arm at the very party they'd chosen over my graduation became a twisted metaphor for our fractured family. I spent 5 years apologizing for my ambition, I said, making eye contact with different sections of the audience. Every test I studied for came with an apology. Every class I attended came with guilt. Every achievement was diminished by my own need to make others comfortable with my success. I talked about the aftermath, the boundaries, the therapy, the slow rebuild. I watched Emma wipe tears from her face, Noah grip his father's hand, my mother clutch my father's arm. The hardest lesson I learned wasn't in any MBA classroom. It was this. The people who love you shouldn't make you choose between their approval and your dreams. Real love celebrates your growth, even when it's inconvenient, even when it changes the dynamic, even when it forces everyone to evolve. paused, finding Ryan's eyes in the crowd. My husband had to learn that a successful wife didn't diminish him. It elevated him. My children had to learn that a mother with ambitions beyond motherhood was teaching them to dream bigger. My parents had to confront their own abandoned dreams. And I had to learn that success without self-advocacy is just glorified martyrdom. The speech ended with my announcement about Nationwide's new initiative, a mentorship program for working mothers returning to education, funded by the company and administered by the very diversity program my thesis had inspired. "We're calling it the Empty Chairs Project," I said, my voice catching slightly, "because no one should stand alone at their moment of triumph." The applause was thunderous. People stood, some crying, others cheering, but I only had eyes for my family. Emma was sobbing openly. Noah was standing on his chair clapping, and Ryan was holding up a tablet. As the applause died down, Professor Chen returned to the stage. "Before we conclude, Madison's family has asked for a moment." Ryan walked onto the stage with Emma and Noah. He connected the tablet to the projection system, and suddenly the screen behind me filled with faces, dozens of them. "Ms. Turner," Ryan said into the microphone, his voice thick with emotion, "we can't go back and fill those empty chairs at your graduation, but we wanted to try to make it right." The video began to play. It was a compilation of congratulations messages from everyone who should have been there that day. But more than that, it included messages from my study group, professors I'd admired, coworkers who'd covered for me when I had exams, even the barista at the coffee shop where I'd spent countless hours studying. "Congratulations, Madison," said Dr. Williams, my thesis advisor, on the screen. "Your work on gender disparities wasn't just academic, it was personal, powerful, and transformative." "You did it, Mom," Emma said in her recorded message. "And I promise I will be at every important moment for the rest of your life. Front row, center seat, probably crying." "My mom is a superhero," Noah's message declared. "She doesn't wear a cape, but she has power suits, and that's even cooler." The messages continued for 10 minutes, my parents apologizing and expressing pride, Stephanie thanking me for showing her what was possible. Even Carol had recorded one, quietly stating that I'd taught her that it's never too late to grow. Through sobs. Last message was Ryan's, recorded in what looked like our bedroom late at night. "Madison," he said on the screen, "I failed you in the most fundamental way a partner can fail. I made your dreams compete with your duties instead of supporting both. You graduated alone, but you won't celebrate alone ever again. This isn't just an apology. It's a promise. Your success is our success. Your dreams are our dreams. And if you'll let us, we'll spend the rest of our lives being the family that shows up." When the video ended, I was crying too hard to speak. Ryan handed me the microphone, but I just pulled him, Emma, and Noah into a fierce hug. The audience erupted again, and this time I let myself feel it. The validation, the support, the love. As we left the stage, Derek stood in the doorway, held back by security. But he wasn't angry. He looked broken, defeated. For a moment, our eyes met, and I saw what he'd finally understood, that his choice to remain small had cost him everything. "Let him go," I told security. "He's leaving." And he did. Without a word, Derek turned and walked away. The last holdout of the old family dynamic, choosing isolation over evolution. That night at the reception, surrounded by new connections and renewed relationships, Patricia pulled me aside. "The board wants to expand the Empty Chairs Project. Nationally, they're also creating a new position, Senior Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion. Interested?" I looked across the room at my family. Ryan deep in conversation with Professor Chen about his own MBA journey, Emma showing Stephanie's support group her college prep materials, Noah explaining his business ideas to my father, my parents actually, listening instead of dismissing him, and Carol still in the back but present, finally part of something rather than apart from it. "Yes," I said. "But this time, my family will be there for the announcement." And they were. Front row, center seats, no empty chairs. Some endings aren't endings at all. They're beginnings disguised as conclusions. My MBA graduation was supposed to be an ending, a culmination. Instead, standing alone on that stage became the beginning of everything. The empty chairs that broke my heart became the catalyst for filling my life with people who truly show up. Success isn't just about achieving your dreams. It's about becoming someone who refuses to apologize for dreaming in the first place.